When my company went public, I got a 60 million yuan dividend, achieving instant financial freedom. I went home and joked to my parents that I was laid off and wanted to live off them. Unbelievably, that very day, they transferred all their properties to my younger brother, saying they were moving in with him and leaving me on my own. I had to rent a place on my own. My girlfriend even took the chance to dump me. I just smiled and happily agreed to everyone's demands, keeping my 60 million a complete secret. I told my parents I was laid off and asked if they could support me for a while. Seeing them freeze in shock, I wanted to laugh and tell them I was only joking to see their reaction. But then I noticed my dad tugging at my mom's sleeve. They both gave me a stiff, forced smile and said it was fine to rest. My dad told me to go to my room while they went out to run some errands. They rushed straight into their bedroom. Worried they were actually panicking, I went to knock and explain. But then I heard my dad whispering inside, saying that since I lost my job, I was probably back to leech off them. My dad said that could not happen. He wanted to transfer all their money and properties to my younger brother before I found out what they owned, just so I could not touch them. My mother hesitated, asking if they should really give him everything, including the apartment that was under their names but bought by me for my own wedding. She wondered if doing this was right, but my dad snapped back, "Hey, patience," saying, "What is theirs is theirs." He argued that as the older brother who had a great job in the city, I should look out for my brother. He said I could just work hard and buy another wedding house. My mom sighed, worried I would feel they were playing favorites. My dad scoffed, saying they raised me and that since I was unemployed, giving it to my brother was basically saving it for me. Otherwise, he claimed I would just get lazy, refuse to work, and waste it all. My mom thought it over and finally agreed, saying she would tell Hao to keep his mouth shut. Standing outside the door, I let out a bitter laugh and went back to my room. I always knew they preferred my brother. I was raised by my grandmother, while my brother grew up by their side. Since childhood, they always told me that as the oldest, I had to yield to my brother no matter what, because they worked so hard to make a living. They claimed leaving me in the countryside was their only choice to avoid hurting my grades. They told me to stay there while they focused on taking care of my brother. Because I understood their struggle, I stopped taking their money after my freshman year, even working part-time to pay for my brother's tuition. After graduating, I grinded for 8 years to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in our hometown, saving it for my future wedding. But my brother convinced me to put our parents' names on the deed to keep my first-time buyer status for Beijing. I trusted them, so I agreed. I never realized they were already scheming back then. I only came home to give them a massive surprise. The company I invested in went public, netting me a 60 million yuan dividend with annual payouts to follow. I was financially free. I wanted to buy them a villa, get my brother storefronts, buy a car, and leave everyone millions for retirement. We could finally live comfortably and travel the world together. My little joke about being unemployed was just to tease them before dropping the big news. I never expected the real shock would be on me. Yet, even after hearing my parents' scheme, I believed my brother would never go along with it. I raised him myself and always gave him the best of everything. We were so close, I was sure he would reject their selfish plan. Soon, my parents came out, acting all concerned. They told me I had worked hard for years and should rest while they went out to run some quick errands. They even told me to text them what I wanted for dinner. If I had not overheard them, I would have believed they actually cared. It was all a cold calculation. Just then, my mom's phone rang. I heard my brother's voice on the line, asking why they wanted him to go to the housing bureau. My mom snapped at him to just do as he was told. My dad stepped in, shielding her, and smiled, telling me to rest while they left. I smiled silently, then quietly slipped out and followed them. Sure enough, they met my brother by the road. Slinking into a corner, I listened as they pitched the whole plan to him. My brother frowned, telling them it was wrong and asking how they could treat me like that. My mom quickly yanked his sleeve, telling him that I was jobless and staying home. She argued that nobody knew how long I would idle around and worried that my savings would run dry, forcing them to support me. She asked how he would ever afford a house and a wife. My dad agreed, saying too many young people leech off their parents these days, so they had to be smart. He added that there was nothing wrong with this. He said the house was in their names, so they could give it to anyone, and that giving it to him was better than letting me waste it. My mom coaxed him, saying I could make money in Beijing and would leave once I saw we had nothing left. My brother still hesitated, pointing out that they had met my girlfriend and knew we were talking about marriage. He asked if it was really okay to transfer my wedding house to him. My mom scoffed, saying I had no job now, so no woman would want me anyway. She insisted things were different for him in the village, and that without a house or money, finding a wife would be impossible. My brother worried about what would happen if I found out. My dad scoffed, asking what I could possibly do about it. After all, they are my parents. He claimed I had always been obedient and filial, and that it was a child's duty. He was sure I would understand their intentions and would never blame them. He said this would actually push me to succeed. My mom agreed, saying young people should not idle around, and that I forgot how hard they worked to fund my education. She said even if I found out, I could not fight with my parents unless I wanted to prove I was ungrateful. My dad grew even angrier, saying that if his own father had not forced him back then, I would have dropped out of school years ago. He questioned why a country boy needed so much education anyway, saying boys should start working in their teens. He blamed my grandfather's stubbornness for letting me study. My mom agreed, complaining about how exhausting those working years were. She checked the time and urgently told my brother to hurry up and finish the transfer before I saw them, warning him not to say a word. I saw my brother hesitate, but he finally nodded, saying he got it but reminding them it was their idea. He said I might just be resting, and if I made money in Beijing later, he still wanted me to buy him a car. He warned them not to make me hate him. My mom assured him they had already thought of that. I watched my family laugh happily as they walked away. Leaning against the wall, I covered my eyes and let out a bitter laugh. The moment I got the money, my first thought was to come home and share the joy of our new life. I thought we were a family, but they never saw me as family. Only my brother was their child. I was just a cash cow they exploited, pacifying me with sweet words when they needed something. I have not taken a penny from them since high school. I worked nights waiting tables while studying, just to ease their burden, wearing hand-me-down clothes and tight shoes. Meanwhile, my brother had endless new outfits. They told me to understand, claiming he was used to spending money. I was the older brother, so I had to yield. I did. I thought they ignored me because I was independent, never realizing they just did not care about me. My joke about quitting my job was just a joke, but it forced me to face a painful reality. Luckily, the money is still mine. That night at dinner, they exchanged sneaky glances, and my mom finally spoke up. She told me I worked hard for years and understood I wanted to rest, but claimed the family was struggling. I kept eating in silence. My dad cleared his throat and chimed in, saying they tried a little business, but lost everything, and that the house was being taken back. He claimed they were broke and had to move into my brother's tiny rented apartment. He told me the place was too small, so I should move out this week and find somewhere else. They braced for my shock and endless questions, ready to spin more lies. But I just nodded, saying I would pack up and leave. I did not care about their lies anymore, just as I would never tell them about my 60 million. As I finished packing to leave, my girlfriend suddenly showed up at my parents' house. They were packing and looked shocked to see her, quickly telling her to sit in the messy room. She nodded, looking around in disgust while covering her nose. With my parents there, I could not explain what was happening. I asked her why she was here, pointing out that I had promised to return in 2 days, and asking why she did not let me pick her up. Before I could finish, she cut me off, saying it was urgent. She glanced at my parents. I understood instantly, pulled her into my room, and shut the door. Let me pour you some water. Let us break up. Hearing this, I froze. I turned around in absolute disbelief. Wan, why so sudden? I have great news to share, I said. We are breaking up, Lin Wan replied, her voice firm. I took a deep breath, sitting down beside Lin Wan, feeling utterly powerless. We met through mutual friends. Like me, she was an outsider trying to make it in Jin City. Staying here was brutally hard for people like us, so we planned to save up and settle in a smaller town. We only needed another year or two to save enough to get married. I knew her mother disliked me, but this sudden breakup blindsided me. I was just about to tell her about my financial freedom, but she cut me off with an impatient look. Zhang Chen, you are seriously useless, she snapped. All these years in Beijing, and you still cannot afford an apartment. Her words choked me. Wan, it is not that I lack ability. An apartment in the capital costs 20 million yuan. How could any regular working-class person afford that? Wan, you are an outsider too. You should understand how hard it is here. Lin Wan sneered. Stop blaming the world for your own incompetence. Look, I am done wasting my breath. I came here today to cut ties with you clean. I am not going to beat around the bush. My mom set me up with someone, and he is a perfect match. He is a local, and I am going to marry him. Marry him. I suddenly remembered how she always used working overtime as an excuse lately. The realization hit me, and I let out a bitter laugh. Lin Wan, is this really just about money? What if I had money? What if I were rich too? She turned and stared at me in silence. Looking into her eyes, I realized she was no longer the girl I once loved. The love in her eyes was completely gone, replaced by nothing but annoyance and disgust. Zhang Chen, grow up, she said. Your love is dirt cheap compared to real money. It is worth absolutely nothing. Even if you somehow manage to get some cash, how much could you possibly have? You will never afford an apartment in this city. Deep down, you are no different from any other low-wage migrant worker. Do not blame me, Jiang Chen. Blame yourself. In this world, you have to be realistic first. Hearing her say those words so coldly made my entire life feel like a cruel, ridiculous joke. A bitter smile crept onto my face. Fine. You want a breakup? You got it. I hope you never regret this. Have a nice life. She looked at me, sighing. She sighed softly. Jiang Chen, I will be happy. Do not talk out of anger. Just learn to be realistic. You believe everything people tell you. I heard your job was decent and actually thought you had a real shot at staying in this city. I guess I was just naive. With your measly monthly salary, you could never save enough. Still, I do not owe you anything. Sure, you treated me well, but I wasted my youth staying with you too. I looked down, refusing to say another word. Seeing my silence, Lin Wan walked out. At that moment, it hit me. I was not the unlucky one they were. I now had everything they desperately wanted, yet they showed their true, ugly faces right when it was within reach. Maybe God knew they did not deserve any of it. When my parents saw Lin Wan leave without even saying goodbye, their faces soured instantly. What kind of girl is she? Absolutely zero manners. She did not even cook us dinner and walked right past us like we were invisible. Chen Chen, you cannot marry a woman like that. It would bring ruin to our family. I am not marrying her. We broke up, I muttered coldly. My parents exchanged glances. Well, look at you. You do not have a job, so of course women are going to look down on you. Fine, you better get back to Beijing immediately and find a proper job. We need you to support our retirement, and your brother wants a new car. If you do not work hard, do you expect us to suffer in our old age? I did not want to argue with them anymore. I just nodded. I will head back to the capital once I pack my things. My parents grinned and nodded in approval. That is right. What is a young man doing hiding in his hometown anyway? Go out and make something of yourself. I nearly laughed out loud. That was not what they told my younger brother. To him, they said, why go out? Just stay home. We will get you a job, car, and house, and your brother will send you money monthly. And I actually did send him a ton of money every single month. My lips curled into a bitter, cold smirk. Trust me, if you ever get another dime out of me, I will have lived in vain. Back in Beijing, I handed over my work and officially resigned. My company wanted to keep me, offering a freelance contract to help out occasionally, which I accepted. That night, my financially independent friends and I had a celebratory dinner. Bored and looking for something to do, someone suggested we start a small business together. Since we could afford the risk, I agreed to buy in. I went home in a great mood, but the second I opened my door, my heart dropped. The entire apartment had been completely ransacked. The living room sofa was dragged near the door, and the coffee table was flipped. Shattered glass covered the floor, and the wall decorations were gone. In my bedroom, the wardrobe was turned inside out, clothes strewn everywhere, and the bedding was ripped off and piled on the ground. The study bookshelf was knocked over, spilling files and books across the room. They even took the bathroom toiletries and the kitchen pots and pans. The curtain rods were snapped, the drapes torn down. The entire place was a total disaster zone, completely stripped of any human touch. Standing at the door, my good mood evaporated in an instant. My blood ran ice cold. It took me a few seconds to process what was happening. I shut the door, grabbed my phone, and immediately dialed 110. My knuckles turned white. I forced my voice to stay steady as I explained the break-in and gave my address. After hanging up, I called my landlord. Hearing that his property was completely trashed, he panicked and promised to rush over immediately. 10 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived with a forensics team carrying specialized equipment to scan the entire crime scene. They began dusting for fingerprints and lifting footprints. The officers questioned me, asking when I last left, if I noticed anyone suspicious, and what valuables were missing. I explained that I was out dining with friends last night and returned in the early hours to find the door unlocked, only to find this absolute mess. Luckily, since I was planning to reorganize my life post-resignation, most of my cash and valuables were locked inside a heavy safe. It had pry marks but remained shut. Strangely, only cheap everyday items were taken. My landlord arrived shortly after. The moment he stepped inside, his face turned pale. He stared at the wreckage, utterly speechless, before finally stammering, "What on earth did I do to deserve this? I just renovated this place, and you have only been here a few months." I quickly apologized and promised to cover all damages, which calmed him down slightly. He stood aside to cooperate with the officers. The forensics team worked for over half an hour, lifting fingerprints from the doorknob and coffee table while finding several distinct footprints on the floor. The police assured us they would pull the neighborhood security footage to track down the suspects. They instructed us to wait for updates and submit a list of missing items. Once they left, the landlord and I began cleaning. Sweeping up glass shards, my landlord kept muttering that he had never seen anything like this. Honestly, my stomach was in knots. Something felt off. I had not made enemies in this city, so who would go through the trouble of clearing my place out just for worthless daily necessities? It made absolutely no sense. First thing the next morning, the police called with an update. Security footage showed that yesterday afternoon, a man and two women unlocked my door with a key, loaded several large boxes into a car, and drove off. Facial recognition identified one of the women as Lin Wan. The other two were hired movers. The officer said the camera clearly showed Lin Wan directing them, even forcing them to dismantle the drying rack on my balcony and unscrew the toilet seat. She did not even leave behind my electric kettle. Hearing this, I stood frozen before letting out a dry, angry laugh. Lin Wan was unbelievably petty. Doing something this extreme over a breakup really opened my eyes. The officer asked how I wanted to proceed, but since the property belonged to my landlord, I handed him the phone to decide. The moment he heard it was my ex-girlfriend, he exploded. He demanded the police prosecute her to the fullest extent, forcing Lin Wan to pay for everything. I told him to handle it however he wanted, and then hung up. I felt completely drained. How was I ever blind enough to fall for someone like her? I packed some basic essentials and checked into a nearby hotel, planning to stay there until this mess was sorted out. The next afternoon, as I was catching up on sleep, I had been up past midnight dealing with the fallout and barely slept. Out of nowhere, my phone began ringing frantically, shattering the silence of the room. Keeping my eyes shut, I fumbled for the device and answered with a raspy voice, "Who is this?" "Zhang Chen, are you completely broke? How dare you call the police?" Lin Wan's hysterical screech pierced through the receiver like nails scraping a chalkboard. I winced instantly at her ear-splitting tone, my eardrums ringing from the sudden noise. I instinctively pulled the phone away and checked the screen. Sure enough, it was her. I let out a dry laugh, my anger boiling over. "Lin Wan, do you even have a brain? That apartment belongs to the landlord, and everything inside, except my clothes, is his. You trashed the place and stole his things, and you think we would not call the cops?" I leaned back against the headboard, my voice dripping with cold sarcasm. Her stupidity was honestly mind-blowing. "What do you mean? The landlord is stuff," she screamed. "Those are all mine. Back when we were dating, I made that shopping list and had you buy those things. The curtains, bedding, and kitchenware were all my choices. Since we broke up, me taking back my own property is perfectly normal. What right do you have to call the cops? Drop the charges right now, or I will make your life a living hell." Her twisted logic actually made me laugh. Sure, she picked those items out, but I paid for every single one of them. Yet she had the absolute nerve to claim them as her own. The sheer shameless entitlement was mind-boggling. "Oh, is that so? Tell that to the police and see if they buy your ridiculous logic," I scoffed. Too exhausted to argue, I hung up and blocked her. I deleted her from WeChat, blocked her number, and erased every single photo and chat history we ever shared. Out of sight, out of mind. Dealing with someone like her was beneath me. After wiping her from my life, I fell back onto the bed. But I kept tossing and turning, unable to drift back to sleep. My mind was racing. From visiting my parents, to realizing they and my brother were exploiting me, to Lin Wan dumping me and trashing my home. It played like a movie. People are so cold. So-called family and love are incredibly fragile when money is on the line. Once I calmed down, I realized how sick I felt. All this stress had ruined my sleep and appetite, leaving me with a dull, constant stomachache. Since I had free time, I decided to get a full checkup at the hospital just for peace of mind. I got up, got ready, and took a cab to a well-known hospital in Beijing. After registering, I underwent a comprehensive exam. The results would take 3 days. During those 3 days, I settled things with the landlord while planning a new business with my friend. Thanks to security footage, Lin Wan knew she was caught and paid the landlord 20,000 yuan to drop it. Word was, this caused a massive fight with her boyfriend who was a local. He thought she was acting completely insane and brainless, growing totally disgusted with her. It was pure satisfaction for me she got exactly what she deserved. 3 days later, I went to pick up my medical report. Looking at the pages, I froze. The report showed several polyps in my colon. They were benign, but the doctor advised quick, minor surgery to remove them before they could turn cancerous. He told me to watch my diet, get plenty of rest, keep my stress low, and avoid overworking or getting angry. Walking out of the clinic, I watched the bustling streets when a sudden idea struck me, a plan to make everyone who crossed me pay. Since they only care about money and view me as a burden, I would play the part. I would pretend my health was failing, just to see how deep their selfishness ran, and to kill any remaining love I had for them. First, I bought various painkillers and cold meds, then got stomach prescriptions, peeling off the labels to leave only mystery bottles. I kept some outer boxes and had a designer friend forge a fake cancer diagnosis. It said I had mid-stage colon cancer and needed immediate surgery costing over 300,000 yuan. With everything set, I intentionally pulled several all-nighters to make face look pale and exhausted, with sunken eyes, looking completely lifeless. A month later, the stage was set. I drove back to my hometown and headed straight to my brother Zhang Hao's rented place, located in a rundown old complex on the 6th floor with no elevator. The hallway was packed with trash and smelled of mold. Inside, the tiny 60-square-meter apartment was cramped, with 3 beds squeezed in and a cluttered living room. My parents, still hoping I would buy my brother a car, actually endured living in this dump. When I walked in, my parents and Zhang Hao were eating dinner. All 3 froze in shock before quickly masking it with their usual expressions. My mom put down her chopsticks and asked with fake warmth, Chen, what are you doing back? I thought you went to Beijing to look for a job. I did not answer. Instead, I stumbled forward, gripping the table, my pale body trembling and lips dry and cracked. Without a word, I started sobbing, my voice thick with absolute despair. Mom, Dad, I am sick. The company did not lay me off. They fired me because of this. I was too afraid to worry you, so I hid the truth from you. I pulled out the fake diagnosis, sliding it onto the table in front of them. My head hung low, shoulders trembling, looking utterly broken. Seeing me like this and looking down at the report, their faces twitched. A flash of panic and disgust crossed their eyes as they looked at each other. My dad let out a dry, empty laugh, offering no real warmth, only dismissiveness. Chen, stop joking. You look so healthy, how could you possibly be sick? The hospital must have made a mistake. My mom quickly chimed in. Yes, exactly. It is a mistake. You are young and strong. There is no way you have some serious illness. I raised my tear-filled, bloodshot eyes, sobbing softly. During my physical this year, they found colon cancer, but it is not terminal yet. We caught it early, so there is still a chance to cure it. I paused, letting a flicker of hope show on my face. Mom, Dad, I know money is tight, but what about my apartment? The one meant for my wedding? It is worth over 300,000 yuan on the market, and the doctor says that is enough to pay for the surgery and control it. I looked at them pleadingly, my white-knuckled hands gripping each other like a desperate lifeline. Mom, Dad, consider this money a loan. Once I am cured, I will work tirelessly to pay you back. Doesn't my brother have savings from his job? Please, you have to help me. I beg you, save my life. Hearing this, my dad instantly panicked. He grabbed the report, his hands trembling as he sputtered, We do not have any money. Your brother just started working, Chen. He does not have any savings. But do not panic. Your mother and I will find a way to help. My mom nodded along, forcing a strained smile. Yes, Chen, do not worry. We would never abandon you. Let us think of a solution. They promised to help, but their shifty eyes avoided mine. They told me to wait on the sofa while they went inside to see how much they could scrape together. Watching them walk into the bedroom and close the door, a cold smirk touched my lips. Creeping quietly to the balcony, I found the bedroom window cracked open. Their voices drifted out clearly. Once inside, they dropped their axe and started plotting. My mother's voice was filled with panic and complaint. Did he say cancer? That is a bottomless pit. That apartment of his is all he has, but now he has no job and has cancer. Even if cured, he can never do heavy labor again. His life is ruined. Giving him that apartment will not even cover the treatment. In the end, it will be a waste. My dad's voice grew hushed and cold. We cannot give it to him. Cancer is a death sentence. Spending money is a waste. His body will slowly rot, dragging our entire family down with him. It will completely ruin Hao Hao's wedding. We absolutely cannot help. My mother started sobbing, her voice filled with fear, not sympathy. Then what do we do? If we do not give it to him, he will cling to us. He is desperate and will never leave us alone. Should we maybe suggest herbal medicine? It is cheaper, and who knows, it might work. My dad sighed coldly. Herbal medicine. If Western medicine cannot cure him, what can herbs do? It is completely useless. We need to send him to another city to deal with this alone. That way, he won't drag us down. Besides, his grandparents raised him, so we aren't even close anyway. Hearing this, my heart shattered. It felt like being thrown into an ice-cold abyss. In their minds, I was just an outsider, a disposable burden. Instead of helping their sick son, they wanted to discard me to suffer alone. My mother fell silent before sighing. I guess there is no other choice. Your leg injury cost us a fortune a few months ago. We literally have no savings left, leaving us with nothing. How can we afford his cancer treatment? Let him get some cheap village remedies to get by. Cancer costs a fortune. We simply do not have the money. And do not mention my injured leg. It infuriates me. It was all because the old man meddled, forcing me to work the fields. Now he is calling to ask if my leg is better and if I can help with anything. At his age, he cannot even look after himself. Hearing this, my blood ran cold. Grandfather was sick, and they had kept it from me. They had actually abandoned him in the village, completely ignored. They did not care about his leg injury, saying such monstrous things. What kind of people do this? Grandfather raised me and loved them completely, yet they are this heartless. I stood on the balcony, trembling with rage, my teeth grinding. I gripped the railing so hard my knuckles turned white, my nails digging into my palms. My understanding of their cruelty was far from complete. Their selfishness and malice surpassed my worst fears. This ends now. I will not let them exploit anyone ever again. That night, Zhang Hao returned, walking in to find me sitting on the sofa, pale and completely drained. He stared, asking casually, "Brother, why are you back? You look awful." My parents, shocked to see me waiting, immediately dragged Zhang Hao into their bedroom and locked the door to explain my cancer, my demand for the apartment, and their plan to discard me. I stood on the balcony, listening. Zhang Hao's voice sounded hesitant. "My brother seems okay, though he was sitting in the living room earlier and did not look that bad. Are you sure it is not a mistake?" My mom snapped. "A mistake? The hospital issued a formal report. This is not about how sick he is. We need to send him away so he cannot drag us down. Your father's leg injury just drained our resources, leaving us with nothing. How can we pay for cancer treatment? Your wedding money is at stake." My dad suddenly spoke up, his voice dripping with malice. How didn't you mention those tour groups that pretend to offer jobs abroad, but actually smuggle people to northern Myanmar? Once they go, they never come back. Do you still have that connection? Zhang Hao hesitated, his voice wavering. "Yeah, I do. A friend told me they target desperate people, promising big money in northern Myanmar. Free food and housing, but once you arrive, you are locked up. Forced labor or scamming. Disobey and you get beaten. You can never escape. And since your brother has cancer now, he probably feels hopeless. We will tell him there is a legendary doctor in northern Myanmar who cures cancer, then sign him up for that tour. Once he is gone, he will never return, and we are finally rid of this burden. His cancer will ruin us." Suddenly, silence fell. They must have been staring at each other, weighing the options. Finally, my dad spoke with absolute authority. "It is settled. We will say it is a trip to relax. Find a way to sign him up. You handle this, Hao Hao. Keep it clean so he does not suspect a thing." My mom and brother said nothing, probably nodding along. Soft footsteps echoed as they discussed details. I stood quietly on the balcony, listening to their plan. My heart felt absolutely nothing, just a deep, numb cold. To get rid of me, they would actually trick me into northern Myanmar. They are monsters. Luckily, I was already completely done with them and ready. I would not let their plot succeed. I pulled out my phone and texted a friend in security. I told him I needed help staging a scene tomorrow, sent the address, and told him to bring some of his guys, promising good pay. He replied quickly, saying they would be there tomorrow morning sharp. I pocketed my phone, sat back on the couch, and put on my helpless, sick face, waiting to see their next move. Early the next morning, the show began. First, Zhang Hao walked over, acting guilty and helpless. He sighed and patted my shoulder, saying, "Brother, I am sorry. Yesterday, I asked everyone at work, but nobody would lend us money. We are all just working class with no savings. Give us some time, we will try our relatives. Right now, the family has no money left. We hate seeing you suffer and being unable to help you." Zhang Hao forced his eyes red, squeezing out fake tears of guilt. Then my dad walked over with a look of regret, pounding his chest. Chen, please blame me. It is all my fault. I tried to start that business to save up money for you and Hao, but I ended up losing every single penny we had. Now we do not have a cent left to buy you decent food. Just blame me! Finally, my mom walked over, clutching my hand with red eyes, crying, Chen, do not worry, we will never abandon you. Even if we have to sell everything, we will pay for your treatment. Your dad and I want to sign you up for a tour to help you relax. You must be feeling down because of your illness, and travel is good for your health. Once you return, we will take you to a big hospital. No matter how much it costs, we will save you. They played their parts beautifully, crying on cue. Anyone else would have been deeply moved, but I already knew about their evil plot. Watching their fake faces made me sick. I kept my head down, pretending to be utterly devastated so they believed I fell for it. Just then, a massive, violent uproar erupted outside our door. Someone pounded heavily, shouting, Zhang Chen, get out here. Do not think hiding in the country clears your debt. We will find you anywhere. Open the door. Loud, violent banging rattled the wood. The door shook violently, terrifying my family. Their faces turned pale as they instantly stopped acting, staring at the door in horror. Zhang Hao shook, looking at me and stammering, brother, are you in debt? How much do you owe? Why are they here? Shaking. He opened the door, probably fearing a landlord fee if they broke it. Instantly, four massive men stepped inside, all over 6 feet tall, muscular, and intimidating. The leader was my security friend, Da Zhuang. He scanned the room, his eyes locking directly onto me. He put on a fierce face and sneered, Jiang Chen, lost your job and got sick. So you hid here? Hiding in the country won't save you. Who pays us if you die? Seeing me silent and these four thugs, my parents panicked. We are calling the police. Get out now! They screamed. Da Zhuang cracked his knuckles, sneering as he sat down. Call them. Let's see what they do. Jiang Chen owes me 1 million black and white. Even the cops must respect that. He pulled out a fake IOU and slammed it down. 1 million. My family's legs went weak. They stumbled back, barely holding onto the table. My mom pointed at my face, screaming, You unfilial, how do you owe this much? Are you crazy? Trying to kill us? Why did we raise you? My dad chimed in, shouting, You useless brat, messing around out there and racking up this debt. How do we survive? What did we do to deserve you? Zhang Hao looked disgusted. Brother, you ruined us. 1 million is more than we can ever make. You are driving us to our graves. I put on a terrified, helpless act, whimpering. I did not mean to. I wanted to buy a flat in Beijing, so I borrowed and spent some on my girlfriend. Then the deal collapsed, I lost my job, and now this. I had no choice. My dad turned purple, raising his hand, but Da Zhuang blocked him. Da Zhuang sneered, He is sick. If you touch him and something happens, don't you dare pin it on us. Terrified by his glare, my dad's hand froze in midair. He did not dare move. Da Zhuang sneered. I do not want trouble. Debts must be paid. I hear he has a house nearby. Hand it over to clear the 1 million, and we are even. Otherwise, we will harass you daily. Looking at these four giants crowding our tiny room, my dad stammered, waving his hands. No, we have no money. That house is ours, not his. It has nothing to do with him. We cannot give it up. De Zhuang sneered, pulling out a pre-written severance document and slamming it down. Since you will not give up the house, sign this. He pointed to the paper. This legally severs all ties with Jiang Chen. His debts will not concern you. We take him away, and whatever happens next is none of your business. He sneered. I will squeeze the money out of him myself. Sick or not, he will pay. My family's eyes lit up instantly. Grabbing a lifeline, their faces filled with pure joy, they snatched the pen, signed the document, and pressed their thumbprints, overjoyed by this lucky break to finally discard their burden. They handed the paper to Da Zhuang instantly, terrified of any delay. My dad urged, Take him, we are completely done with him. Don't ever contact us again. My mom chimed in, Yes, we have nothing to do with him or his debts anymore. Take him away already. Zhang Hao waved us off with a relaxed grin. Just go, stop bothering us. Gripping the paper, Da Zhuang gritted his teeth. I have never seen family like you. He is sick and you just throw him away. Fine, we are leaving, don't regret this. Staring at their cold, eager faces, my final hope vanished. I never looked back, walking out of that disgusting place with Da Zhuang and his crew. Inside the car, the air instantly cleared. Da Zhuang rolled down the window, venting. Brother, they are monsters. It blows my mind they are worse than strangers. Cutting ties is the best thing you could do. The other guys agreed, calling them incredibly cold and selfish, telling me to never bother with them again. Grateful, I shook their hands, pulled out cash, and gave each guy 2,000. They refused, saying they were just helping a friend, but I forced them to accept it. Once they left, I drove straight toward my grandpa's village, my heart racing. Clutching the severance paper, I had one goal: find Grandpa and get him out. I had to leave that place and take him to Jinshi for medical care. The village roads were terrible and full of potholes. It took me over 2 hours to arrive. I headed straight to Grandpa's old house. Pushing open the gate, the yard was choked with weeds, clearly neglected. Grandpa was just sitting there on a small wooden stool. He was soaking in the sun, looking incredibly weak and haggard. His hair was completely white, his back severely hunched, and his leg was wrapped in a thick blackened bandage that looked badly infected. When he saw in, he froze for a second. Then, he struggled to stand up, his face lighting up with surprise. Chen, what are you doing here? Is work busy? Why are you back so suddenly? Grandpa kept asking, struggling to stand up to pour me some water. I rushed forward immediately, holding him gently so he wouldn't push himself. Seeing his worn-out face and that infected bandage, I choked back my tears. There was a tight lump in my throat, and I couldn't find my voice. Grandpa raised me and doted on me my whole life. Now he was left in this miserable state, abandoned and completely ignored by his own son and daughter-in-law. They did not even care for his leg injury. Grandpa, please don't move. How is your leg? Why didn't you go to a hospital? I helped him sit, my voice trembling, and gently touched his leg. He winced in pain, yet forced a smile, trying to act like it was nothing. It is nothing, just a minor fall. It will heal once it starts itching. No need for a hospital, they cost too much. Your parents have a hard time too, and I do not want to be a burden to them. Hearing him say that made my heart ache even more. He was suffering like this, yet still worrying about them. Meanwhile, they had not offered a single kind word, even talking about leaving him to fend for himself. I could not hold back my tears any longer. They streamed down as I tightly grasped his hand. Grandpa, I am so sorry. I came too late and let you suffer like this. I promise you will never suffer again. I am taking you to the best hospital in Jinshi right now. Without a second thought, I quickly packed his basic belongings, helped him into the car, and drove straight to Jinshi. Along the way, he kept anxiously asking if something was wrong. Nothing is wrong, Grandpa. I just missed you and wanted to bring you to Jinshi to stay with me for a while. Once we arrived, I took him directly to the top-tier hospital where I previously had my checkup. I booked an orthopedic specialist who examined him thoroughly. He said the leg was injured from a fall, and the delay in treatment caused the infection. There was also a minor hairline fracture, but thankfully, it was not severe. With proper rest and regular dressing changes, he would recover quickly. Hearing this, a massive weight was lifted from my chest. I processed his admission, hired a dedicated caregiver for him, and bought a fully furnished apartment near the hospital so he could recover comfortably after being discharged. The place was small but cozy, equipped with all the necessary appliances. While Grandpa was in the hospital, I split my time between caring for him and managing a new startup. A few friends and I had pooled our savings to launch a tech company focusing on artificial intelligence. Since we were all industry veterans with plenty of resources and solid tech, we secured a multi-million-dollar investment shortly after launching. Our business took off, and orders poured in. Seizing this momentum, I also personally invested in a few promising small projects on the side. Some were in new energy, others in creative media. Luckily, my instincts were spot on. Every single project became profitable, bringing in massive returns. In just a few short months, my wealth multiplied, and I quickly bought a detached villa in Jinshi, complete with a beautiful yard and garden. The area was beautiful. I even used the city's talent acquisition policy to secure permanent residency, officially making me a local of Jinshi. Grandpa recovered beautifully. Once discharged, I brought him to the villa, hiring a housekeeper and a caregiver to handle his daily routine and meals. Looking at the spacious, sunlit villa and the garden, Grandpa stood there in absolute disbelief. He grabbed my hand and asked, "Chenchen, is this house really yours? How on earth did you get so rich so fast? Did you do something illegal?" I smiled and explained that a company I previously invested in had gone public, giving me a massive payout. I also started a new business with friends and made profitable investments. It was all completely legal. Only then did he finally relax. Looking at me, a proud smile spread across his face. "Good. My Chenchen is all grown up and successful now. I am so happy for you." I had no intention of hiding the fact that I brought Grandpa to Jinshi. News spreads fast and soon the villagers found out. Soon, his old buddies and our relatives started calling, trying to pry into my life and asking if I had really struck it rich in Jinshi. Grandpa did not hide anything. He told them honestly that I just got lucky, but asked them to keep it quiet. Still, secrets never stay hidden and word of my success spread. I knew people would eventually come knocking, looking to leech off my wealth or scheme against me. But I did not care at all. I would cross that bridge when I got to it. If they were smart, they would leave me alone. If not, I would not play nice. Shockingly, the first person to track me down was my ex-girlfriend, Lin Wan. Somehow, she had dug around through our mutual friends and found out that I was financially free, living in a massive villa and thriving in Jinshi. Suddenly, she started harassing me constantly, calling from all kinds of random numbers. She kept calling and texting me to get back together. One day, during a company meeting, my phone rang from an unknown number. I picked up, and Lin Wan's sweet, whiny voice came through the line. "Zhang Chen, it is me, Wan Wan. How have you been lately? I was just throwing a little tantrum because you went back to your hometown without telling me. Why did you stop reaching out? I miss you so much." Hearing her voice made my stomach turn. I frowned instantly, a wave of pure disgust washing over me, and replied coldly, "Lin Wan, you were the one who dumped me. Do not act like you have amnesia. We are completely done, so stop calling me," she gasped, then instantly reverted to her annoying, overly sweet baby voice. "We did not break up. I was just, a typical girl, throwing a little tantrum. It is totally normal. I was just confused back then, and my mom pressured me into breaking up with you. Zhang Chen, please forgive me. Can we just start over? I am still deeply in love with you." I almost laughed out loud. The sheer nerve of this woman was unbelievable. She destroyed me when we broke up, making me sound utterly worthless. Now she wants to crawl back because of my money? Stop playing. Tantrum? Do you not already have a perfect new boyfriend? I heard he is a local with a nice house and a car. Weren't you about to get married? Stop harassing me. I am hanging up. As I went to end the call, she panicked and screamed, "No, Jiang Chen, I am not with anyone else." That guy was just someone my mother pushed on me. I do not like him at all. We were just pretending. I realize that you are the only one I love. Please forgive me. I know I messed up. Save it. There is absolutely no way I am ever going back. I must have been blind to ever fall for you. My voice was icy, dripping with mockery. I actually planned to tell you that I received over 60 million in dividends. I wanted to marry you, buy you a house and a car, so you would never have to work hard again. But you did not want that peaceful life. You thought I was a nobody who was not good enough for you. So why are you crawling back now? Hearing about my over 60 million payout, she went dead silent before bursting into tears. Her voice cracked with intense regret and self-pity. Jiang Chen, I was so wrong. I should not have been so materialistic and looked down on you. That other guy is a complete monster. He gambles, he owes a ton of money, and he treats me terribly. I am miserable. Jiang Chen, please save me. I know deep down you still care about me. Can you please just forgive me this one time? You brought this on yourself. You deserve exactly the kind of life you settled for, so do not come back to ruin mine, I said coldly. I hung up and blocked her number. Her crying sounded incredibly grating. This miserable mess she found herself in was entirely her own choice, and she has no one else to blame. I thought blocking her would end the harassment once and for all, but a few days later, her mother actually called me. Her voice was filled with a mix of fake regret and desperate pleading. Jiang Chen, it is all my fault. Blame me if you must. I forced Wanwen to break up with you and be with that other man. She is miserable now, and he treats her terribly. Please forgive her and take her back. She knows she made a mistake. Ma'am, I remember when I visited your house back then, and you sounded very different, I replied, a wave of cold irritation washing over me as I recalled that day. You told me that if I could not save 2 million, I should not even think about proposing. You sneered that I was a nobody from a small town, threw my carefully prepared gifts out the door, and said I would never amount to anything or be able to afford a home in Jinshi. Have you forgotten all of that? Because I still remember your smug, arrogant faces perfectly. Her father sat on the sofa, refusing to even look at me, while you stood there proudly tearing me down and treating me like I was completely worthless. Lin Wan just stood to the side, silent, letting you do whatever you wanted. I should have seen through your family back then, but I was blinded by love, foolishly thinking hard work would eventually win your approval. On the other end of the line, her mother went dead silent, completely speechless. She was completely speechless. After a long pause, she finally whimpered in a shaky voice that was just a foolish mistake on my part. I was blind, Jiang Chen. You are a bigger man. Please do not hold a grudge against us. Wan, she knows she was wrong now. She still loves you, so please just forgive her. It is not easy for a young woman to find a good husband. Show some pity. Hearing this, I burst out laughing. In their eyes, I was just a suckerich and easy to push around. Now that their daughter was miserable, they wanted me to bail her out. How convenient. I am sorry, ma'am, but I am wealthy now too, so I have absolutely no interest in your daughter. She is not good enough for me. Goodbye. I hung up immediately, blocked her mother's number, and set up a filter on all unknown calls. Out of sight, out of mind. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with that family. Their greed was simply too disgusting. Life went back to normal. I managed our growing business and spent my free time with Grandpa. The company kept expanding, my wealth multiplied, and Grandpa's health steadily improved. Every day, he planted flowers and fed birds in the yard, chatting with the neighbors and enjoying his life and joining in on the local square dancing. His days were peaceful and cozy. Seeing him so happy filled me with complete satisfaction. This was the exact life I had always wanted, simple, quiet, and content. Today, under the warm sunshine, Grandpa and I were planting vegetables in our yard. There was an empty patch in my yard, so I turned it into a small vegetable garden. I planted some greens, cucumbers, and tomatoes, all of Grandpa's favorites. Growing our own food is safer. Plus, it keeps me active. To think I used to absolutely hate doing farm work like this. But now, planting veggies with Grandpa, turning the soil, sowing seeds, and watering feels surprisingly peaceful. It is like this connection to the land is coded into my DNA. Touching the earth puts me at ease. As I was squatting to stake the cucumber plants, Grandpa went inside to get a can to water the seedlings. Right then, a car horn blared outside the gate, followed by someone pounding heavily on our fence. A loud voice shouted, Chen, Jiang Chen, open up. We're your mom and dad, and your brother. We came to see you. Hearing those familiar, disgusting voices, I froze, my brow furrowing instantly. I did not even have to guess. They must have heard I made it big in Beijing, bought a villa, and settled down. Now they are here to leech off me. They just never go away. I stood up, dusted the dirt off my hands, and walked over to open the gate. My parents and my brother Jiang Hao stood there in brand new clothes, holding cheap fruit and milk boxes. The moment the gate swung open, fawning smiles plastered across all three of their faces. Jiang Hao spoke first, his tone dripping with resentment. Come on, bro, what was the point of lying to us? We are family. Why play mind games? Look at you, living in a detached Beijing villa with a massive yard, and this big house, it is so beautiful, and you are not even inviting us inside? You worried mom and dad sick. The second we heard you made a fortune in Beijing, we drove through the night. The road was rough, and they are exhausted. I stared at his smug, entitled face. I was honestly amazed at how shameless he could be. It was as if all their scheming and their plot to lure me to northern Myanmar had never even happened. I wiped the soil off my hands and glared at him. Zhang Hao, did you forget? You all legally cut ties with me. You signed and thumbprinted that agreement yourselves. But now that you heard I have money, you show up at my doorstep to leech off me? Zhang Hao's fake smile froze instantly at my hostile tone. He scowled and barked. Zhang Chen, so what if you have money? Can't you speak like a human? You've got a bit of cash and suddenly you're putting on airs. Speak like a human? Are you even worthy of that? I replied, my voice cold and my eyes dripping with sarcasm. The apartment I bought for my wedding is currently registered under your name, isn't it? I worked hard for 8 years to save up and buy that place, only for you to steal it through dirty tricks. Give it back to me before you say another word. Hearing this, all three of them froze, a flicker of panic crossing their eyes. My dad stammered, how did you find out? We did it so quietly. How could you possibly know the apartment was transferred to Hao Hao? I tossed my dirty paper towel aside and yelled, I knew from the very beginning. I only wanted to test you, but I never expected you to have zero love for me. You actually tried to trick me into going abroad to ruin my life. My dad looked guilty for a split second, but then he straightened his back and shouted, so what if we tricked you? You are our son, and Zhang Hao is your brother. It's your job to support us and spend money on us. Their sheer shamelessness made me laugh. What absolute nonsense. I won't give you a single penny ever again. We are completely done. Get lost, or I'm calling the police. Instantly, my parents began to wail right outside my gate. Oh, the injustice. Our eldest son is a monster. He's rich but refuses to support his parents. He doesn't care if we live or die. Unfilial child. Covering my ears, I frowned. Who are you two anyway? I don't have parents. I still have the signed agreement right here. Besides, don't you have a son? Hey, Zhang Hao, how can you let your parents cry like this? How disrespectful. Hearing this, my dad lunged forward to push me, but I just grabbed his hand. Oh, now you want to hit me? Are you even worthy of touching me? When Grandpa got hurt, you abandoned him. And me? I just played a little joke, and you immediately stole my apartment because you were terrified I'd spend your money. Then, when I said I was sick, you actually tried to lure me to northern Myanmar. Is this how parents are supposed to act? Aren't you terrified of karma? I burst into laughter. Like I said, I was just testing you, but heaven is watching. Even God knows you don't deserve it. I was actually going to buy you a villa, luxury cars, and give you millions for retirement. Hearing the commotion, Grandpa hobbled out with his cane, absolutely furious. This is too much. I'm your father, so you talk to me about honoring your parents. Chen has relied on himself all these years, but what about you? Selfish, greedy. You even tried to ruin him. That apartment he bought was worth a fortune, and giving it to you was more than enough. Why are you still here demanding respect? He spent hundreds of thousands of yuan on my medical bills. You pay him back first. With that, Grandpa turned to the flower bed, grabbed a pot, and threw it right at them. The three of them instantly jumped back in terror, staring at my grandfather as he prepared to charge at them. Terribly frightened, they bolted back toward their car. Dad, please calm down, Grandpa. It's me, Hao Hao, Hao Hao. You disrespectful little brat. I quickly held Grandpa back, telling him not to get so worked up and hurt himself. Watching them flee, the old man just snorted with indifference. I saw through those parasites long ago. Excited? This tiny scuffle was nothing compared to my square dancing sessions with Grandma Jiang next door. That's a real workout. Don't worry, Chen, those freeloaders just needed a lesson. Come on, let's go inside. Grandpa will make your favorite sweet pancake. I smiled and helped Grandpa inside. Now that I had wrapped up most of my work, and since Grandpa was getting older, I decided to take him on a trip. He worked so hard for me when I was young, and after he started working, I rarely had time for him. Now that I have the time, and since certain people aren't worth my time and energy anymore, we decided to just go. I planned our itinerary, and Grandpa and I set off to explore the breathtaking mountains and rivers of our beautiful country. Some people aren't worth my time, so I booked a trip, grabbed my granddad, and set off to explore our country's epic landscapes.